top coat. Now, we have so many varieties of top coats in soft potted gel systems. We usually have a non-wipe top coat, a wipe top coat, and a potted top coat, okay? But I'm just going to briefly cover this here. Top coat can be used for art techniques that require movement because top coat is very runny. So keep that in mind. You can even use top quality potted gel top coat for a matte finish. Potted top coat is usually a bit thicker than just your polished type or brush on top coat. And non-wipe top coat is great for finishing the adhering of crystals. So let's just say you laid down some builder gel, you inlaid some crystals onto that builder gel, you cure that, and then you want to seal that builder gel with non-wipe top coat. You could also do it with just regular polished type top coat. Polished type, I mean like in the bottle versus a pot, okay? So I will be showing you some examples of nail art with top coat using top coat. These will include samples such as drop art, sealing crystals, and double coating a one color application manicure, a double coat of top coat, and buffing it for a matte finish. Yes, you can indeed do a matte finish without necessarily buying matte top coat. If you want to conserve on you're spending on products here, you can definitely do it with the potted top coat. Just do 2 layers and then you'll buff for a matte finish. So I will be showing you all of that. All right, so before we get started with our practical and all of our nail art examples and the type of gels that we use to create each type of design here, I want to briefly go over top coats and how to choose not just the right top coat for you, right, at the salon for every service, but how to choose each top coat for the specific design that you're doing. And what I want you to consider is basically consistencies, viscosities, and thickness. So for nail art designs, you'll usually wind up using either a top coat with a residual layer, right, like a tacky layer. This one by Leaf Gel is called Glossy, and this is the one that you'll cure for a full 30 seconds and then wipe off the tacky residue. And then usually also product lines, soft potted product lines have a non-wipe top gel, which is really popular, and a lot of people really like non-wipe top gel. Now, I'll have you know that non-wipe top gel usually has a little bit higher concentration of hard gel, or I should say it's a little bit more hard gel base. Even though its viscosity is really thin, it still has some hard gel, right? And your glossy top gel is not so much hard gel base, even though for shine purposes it does have somewhat of a hard gel consistency. But what you need to know specifically is that non-wipe top gel is really thin. And if you consider hard gel that is very thin, you can think about it as having the possibility to crack. So keep that in mind when you're using non-wipe top gel. I don't necessarily recommend non-wipe top gel for single color applications, right? I recommend non-wipe top gel to do to finish your intricate nail designs. For example, Swarovski, full Swarovskis, encapsulations, transfer foils, even drop art technique, which we will learn here. So anytime that you've added a lot of product to your nail art design, right? I'm not saying it's bulky. I'm just saying you've added multiple layers. You've added base layer. You've added color layers. You added adhesion layer. You've added buildered layer again, and you buffed and all of that. Then that is a great time and opportunity to use non-wipe top gel, because the last thing you want to do is make your application bulky by adding a potted gel, right, top coat, or even just your wiping glossy top gel that's a little thicker. So keep that in mind. The property of non-wipe top gel, it's a little bit more hard gel concentrated, which means that if applied very thinly, it can crack. But also keep in mind that on thin, brittle, flexible nails, non-wipe top gel might crack. So use this when you've used multiple layers to create nail art and you just want to finish off with something very thin. That's non-wipe top gel. Now, another thing about using these brush-ons is that it can be relatively quicker to apply versus your potted gel, right? So if you spend all the time on the nail art and you quickly want to finish your nail design, then brush on or these polished type top coats are a great way to finish your nails. And they are high quality. They're still Japanese gel products, very, very high quality. So do not underestimate them and do not kind of, think they're not high quality and can finish your finished product beautifully. So keep that in mind. So with that said, glossy top gel is a slightly thicker consistency than non-wipe top gel. Now they're both thin. I'm not saying one is really sticky and gooey and no. They both are thin. Just keep in mind non-wipe top gel's thinner, and the top coat that you do have to wipe, in this case if you're using leaf gel, there's this called glossy. It's a little bit more viscous, a little thicker. So if you feel like your application could benefit from a little thicker application, perhaps you need to fill in this little dip there between the white and the peach color on a French tip nail, or perhaps you need to fill in a little bit here with your transfer foils, right? Or your shell encapsulations need a little bit of more thickness than what you've already applied, right? So keep that in mind. If you need just a little bit more thickness, right? Something to self-level a little bit better, then use glossy top gel to finish your nail design. Now, when you've done one color applications, I do recommend for you to use a potted top coat gel. And that is for two reasons. Number one, it's going to allow you a last opportunity, right, to self-level any imperfections in the natural nail. With that being said, you do not apply a large amount of top coat. You still use a very slim, thin but generous coat to finish your nail design, but it does have a really good self-leveling property. So if you just had a little dent or divot or something that's just protruding to the surface of your nail and you wanted to fix it, for example, maybe again the dip in your French, right? A potted top coat is going to allow you a little bit of a self-leveling capability. So keep that in mind. And then the second reason that you would like to use this for your natural nail one color application is just basically for its strength. This is going to be a little bit stronger than your non-wipe and your top coat that you do have to wipe. So again, it'll help you perfect, right, with the self-leveling property, and it'll give your natural nails, the client's natural nails, a little bit of more strength. Now, I will have you to know that in general, any top coat that you use here, whether it's potted top coat or your non-wipe or your wipe top gel, these layers, these final layers are not there to give your nails strength. So I know sometimes you'll have a client that says, well, can I have 2 coats of the top coat, so I can make my nails stronger? You don't have to buy into that, because you'll have to explain that top coat is not there to provide strength. It really will not provide any more strength than what you've already added through a gel manicure service and your self-leveling technique, or your gel overlay when you added the builder gel. Those are the 2 layers, the base layer and the builder layer, that you want to adjust to add a little bit more reinforcement. So you can tell your client that their top coat's not going to last longer because you've done a second and a third coat or anything like that. These gels here are not there for strength. Even though you get a little bit more here and then a little bit more with glossy also, I kind of shy, and I'm careful to say strength because top coat is not there for strength. It just doesn't have that capability. Okay, it's not engineered that way. With that said, however, certain Japanese gel brands or soft potted gels will allow you to finish your nails with their builder gel. So what does that mean? It literally means that after applying a builder gel layer, you do not have to finish your nails with any of these top coats because they've added shine capabilities, right, to the builder gels so that it finishes very shiny. Now, you might ask, how shiny? Well, obviously these are manufactured to have the most shine, right? But I mean, like I said, they manufacture these builder gels so that they do have some sort of shine component. So if you find that you like it and you don't contaminate your builder gel often, right, by mixing color gel or base gel into the pot, then you can actually keep your nails rather clear and very crisp and whatnot. And you can finish your client's nails with extension clear in this case, or Paradise sculpting gel, to give those nails strength. Okay, so try it. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll find that you actually don't want to use these top coats and you're often doing just single color applications and you want to finish that. So keep that in mind. It does have a little bit of blue hue into it, so it's giving it a crisp finish. With that being said, that property of finishing off with sculpting gel, it's going to come beneficial, or it's going to be very beneficial when you get to, for example, the matte finish here on the encapsulated foil paper, and also maybe you can finish your transfer foils with that, right? And what else? Your Swarovskis, right? You're getting a little bit shine here, so you don't even need to come over here with your striping brush and outline those crystals. So again, that was just, I know I said a short word, probably went a little bit long-winded, but that's okay. Lots of information there for you to know, and it's very important. And it's a good idea to own all of the top coats in your product line because you can use them differently, but absolutely not necessary. Pick one, pick two that you really, really like, and invest in them and use them. All right, so I hope I didn't bore you too much there with your top coat use. Very, very beneficial information. And now I'm going to show you how you can use your nail art and your top coat to enhance or to create more nail art with it, okay? Now, for these techniques, using a potted top coat is probably advantageous. So if you own one, then here's another way you can use your potted top coat, not just to top coat your nails, but also to do nail art with it. So I'm going to show you this technique called drop art technique, because you're going to drop gel top coat onto this technique here, onto this nail art. And this is great to create mermaid looks or those bubbly, right, sea designs, sea as in like the water. And you're going to do a coat of a sort of translucent or very light blue, like a not full coverage blue. You'll do one coat of this guy to start, and you're going to cure it. Okay, just make sure that it's even, it's thorough. Once you've full cured that, you're going to apply a second coat of this blue or whatever blue you've chosen, and this next coat you are actually not going to cure. You want it to be a little bit more generous than just like a thin streaky application, or I should say like stretchy. You want it to have a little bit more movement. So a thin but generous coat of blue. And now you're going to take your liner brush. It can be any size liner, a short, medium, large. Any should work for this. I'm using more of a long liner. And you're going to grab these droplets, right, if I can say it that way, of gel top coat. And you want them to pool, P-O-O-L, at the end of your liner brush, because you're going to drop them as dots onto your color here. Now, obviously, the more gel you pick up, the faster it's going to move. Also, remember that you are working on a wet layer of gel, right? The layer underneath these clear droplets is not cured, which means that it's going to self-level your clear gel faster. So you kind of want to work fast. And for this reason, because you're working on top of a gel coat, the color gel in this case, that is not cured, then you want to start at the center of the nail when you're doing these droplets. Because if you start on the sides, right, and you start applying these droplets, then that gel is going to really quickly start moving on you, and it's going to go onto the nail folds and the lateral nail walls of the client's fingernails, right? So work fast, work from the center, and then once you've got your movement going on, then start placing droplets on the sides. Notice that you will also want to work with bigger droplets on the center and smaller droplets at the end. And then the next thing you want to do, this is optional, but you can actually, to self-level this nail so that it's not all bumpy and you have to add more gel to self-level and make it smooth, you can actually just take the apexes of every little droplet that you've placed onto this nail, and you want to kind of connect them a little bit so that they start self-leveling smoothly onto one another. Again, so that you don't end up with a very bumpy kind of situation here, right? I'm sure your client doesn't want like a turtle shell design, although if that inspires your next nail art design, then by all means take it and run with it, right? Now, we are going to cure this nail after this, after you're happy, and notice the reflection of my light, how it's already pretty smooth, right? So you want to keep doing this until you get that clear gel all nice and smooth. But before we cure, right, this is very easy. We're practically done here. Before we cure, you are going to want to flash cure and then full cure. Remember that there is a lot of gel on this nail tip. So if you don't flash cure it, your client will experience a burn. There is a lot of gel on top of this. And if you've learned something, I hope you have, top gel has more of a hard gel consistency. So hard gel usually tends to heat up faster, or you tend to kind of feel that hardening a little bit more. So the heat's a little bit more strong. So do keep that in mind when you are doing nail art that requires a lot of top coat like this. Okay, so once you're happy with that, you will go ahead and give it a flash cure for about 2 seconds. I will try it really fast, 2 seconds, and then you are going to give it a full cure. Then the way you will further finish this design is by applying a non-wipe top coat. And the reason why you're going to do a non-wipe top coat is because it is the thinnest consistency, and you do not want to add further thickness to this nail. It's pretty thick already, right? So we don't need to do any of that. All right, so give it a full cure, finish it up with non-wipe top coat, and this design is done. Or if you want to keep going after you fully cure this, you can add a little bit of rhinestones, seashells, crushed shells, anything else you want to add. Just remember that this nail is already thick, so whatever you do add, make sure it does not contribute to the thickness of this nail. All right, so the next nail art technique we are going to learn using our potted top coat, right, or potted gel top coat is the matte finish. And the way you're going to do this is by applying 2 coats of potted gel top coat. And the reason why you do it with your potted gel top coat is because it is the thickest coat application out of all of them, right? Out of all your top coat application. It's not very, very thick. I do not think of your potted gel top coat as this gooey, thicky, thing that you cannot work with. It's just a little bit thicker, okay? And so you're going to do a full cure. And for this one, I would recommend curing both layers of top coat for 60 seconds. So choose a color, top coat it with this top coat, give it 2 layers, and in between each layer, you're going to cure for 60 seconds. All right. So apply 2 coats and cure for 60 seconds. Now, once that nail is fully cured, you're going to do what you always do, remove the inhibition layer, the tacky residue with a lint-free wipe and 90% alcohol. Okay, so remember, if you're working on your client, right, a real life client, make sure that when you wipe tacky residue, you press and you pull down. You do not get it into the skin. You'll need a 200 grit sponge buffer, okay? And if you can get it even finer, better, okay? What you don't want to do is buff this top coat with a very coarse or a 100 to 180 grit sponge buffer. You want it on the softer side. And I have seen 400 grit sponge buffers, so if you can get your hands on one of those, that would be even better. Because when you are buffing it like this, right, you're actually making the nail a little bit porous. So you don't want it to be extremely porous. I do not recommend this technique for anyone working with colors like hair colors, okay? Again, when you do it with a fine grit, like a 400 or 200 grit sponge buffer, then you should not see any of the buffing marks. So when you're done, you're going to dust it off and cleanse this nail with 90% alcohol. And there you have it. All right, so in this video, in this module, right, you have learned how to use your gel top coat, your potted gel top coat, to create drop nail art, and also how to create matte finishes.